For both the Sunday Times report and a dispatches programme for Channel 4, Dave visited the homes of several parents and was reluctant to reveal the whole truth with them.
His name was Brian Lawrence. The man who came to interview me called me and told me his name was Brian Lawrence, and it was not until a few days later after the interview that I discovered his true identity. The interview was very distressing and very odd, and it was a Friday night, and I immediately wrote a letter and put in a complaint to the Sunday Times. Curiously enough, the next morning he emailed me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry I gave you a hard time in the interview, but I'm on your side as parents, really." Which was very, very strange. But the Sunday Times never gave me a satisfactory reply. And one of the complaints that I had was, why did this man come to my house using a false name? The only reply that I had was by phone, and it was the managing editor who dismissively said to me, "Oh, Brian Deere uses his middle name when he talks to drug companies so they don't know who he is." I said, "But I'm not a drug company, I'm a parent." And there was no response, there was no kind of cogent answer. He actually, all very interesting, he used his middle name, so he didn't really give a false name because it was his name. He's very good at that.
He insisted that he wanted to help her and obtain financial help, extra financial help from the government, and that it would cost the government a whole lot more if they had to look after the children, in care, etc. He also promised us that he would do his best to obtain help for Jodie, who was constantly sick, was not sleeping, had lost a tremendous amount of weight, and he felt that he could, through his media, obtain help for her to try to stop this. So under those circumstances, we agreed for him to come down.
He came up to film and everything for about 3 days, and to try and get some help for Jodie, to get a doctor to look at her properly. That's what that was all about, really. And parents not getting the help that they should do, and that. So at the end of the day, he'd done this filming about Jodie and that. Went into New Forest and went to Shirley. She was sick, and I wanted to change her, take her back, and I didn't have nothing to change her. She was really sick. She was in her hair and that, and it was down on the floor. And he said, "Let her sit and play in it, or don't, let her sit and play in it." I said, "No, she's coming home to get changed, and you sit and play in it," I said. And I took her back to get changed and that. We did actually show him paperwork of Jodie for what happened to her, proof of what happened to her, and he looked at it and he said, "Yes, I've seen it, it's there." But at the end of the day, he said that it wasn't true for what happened to Jodie and that, and I don't believe one little bit of the information you've got.
Jodie Marchant was 14.5 months old when she was given 7 vaccines in one visit, 3 of them in the MMR. The other 4, however, DTP and polio, were given without the consent of her parents.
And she's never going to have a normal life, go out to work and that, and everything, and have a normal life. She's always going to have care 24/7 and that. So that's what happened to Jodie. I just don't know why it happened. I'd love to ask the doctor why she done it.
Jodie was given the extra 4 vaccinations without the consent of her parents at the practice of Dr. Alison Hill. The Marchants made a complaint to the GMC about her in 2002, but she has never been called to the GMC and continues to practice. How is it that one complaint about a doctor who authorises 4 vaccinations without the parents' consent is ignored by the GMC, while one complaint from Brian Deere results in 1 doctor and 2 professors being called before the GMC, even though parents have no complaints against them?
I don't think there is a conspiracy, and I don't think there is a cover-up.
Well, why are you involved with this cry shame organisation that is publishing these outrageous lies that there's a conspiracy, and I'm being paid by drug companies to fabricate evidence with the government and God knows what else? Well, then you should get on to these people and say, why are you publishing this stuff?
I'm more concerned to get to the truth as to what's happened to the children like
well,
myself.
then you should come to the hearings and hear.
What
about the children? 12 weeks of evidence showing that these children, well, I don't know which children are which, but the children that
1 in 100, Brian,
did not have an inflammatory bowel disease.
The 12 children.
They did not have an inflammatory bowel disease.
Well, it's actually outrageous as a parent, and I know that other parents have come to me with the same story, and certainly parents of children who were involved in the Lancet paper as well. My husband, my family saw our own son desperately ill with diarrhoea up to 10 times a day for many, many years, and it was only until we got involved with we managed to get some gut bacteria for my son, but it was that actually was a research trial at another hospital, and that gave him a little bit of relief, but what it didn't do was deal with the underlying problems. When my son went into the Royal Free, when he was finally scoped, then the reasons behind not just the pain, but he would suddenly become emaciated, he became very, very ill, physically very, very ill, and all that came to light. So not got any bowel disease. Well, I mean, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, is he a trained gastroenterologist? Is he a trained doctor? You know, what is he talking about? It's just an outrageous claim.